morning, guys, and now it's good to read here on the brick wall and good largest sofa. We'll read this kindergarten. In 1920, when I was still only in 1921, when I was still only 5 years, my mother's eldest child, my own sister, Astri, died from appendicitis. She was 9 years old when she died, which also the age of my own eldest daughter Olivia when she died from measles 42 years later. Astri was far from my father's favorite. He ordered her beyond the measure of her sudden death, left by literally speechless for days afterwards. He was so overwhelmed with grief that when himself went down with pneumonia a month or so afterwards. He did not much care whatever he lived or died. They had penicillin in those days. Neither appendicitis or pneumonia would have been much of threat, but there were no penicillin or magical antibiotics cure. Pneumonia in particular was a very dangerous illness indeed in those days. The pneumonia patients on about the 4th or 5th day would immediately reach water crisis. The temperature soared, pulse became rapid. The patient had to fight to survive. My father refused to fight. He was thinking, I am quite sure of his beloved daughter and was wanting to join her in heaven. So he died when he was 58 years old. My mother had now lost her daughter and husband all in space of few weeks. Heaven knows what it must be felt like to be double cargoes. After the 3 of her own by 2 husbands first matters. Back to the Norway with children. Over there in her own country, she had her mother, father willing and waiting to help her as well as her 2 unmarried sisters. But she refused to take the easy out. Her husband had always started most emphatically that he wished all his children to be educated in English schools. They were best in the world, he used to say. They were best in the world, better by the Norwegian ones. Better even the Welsh one, despite fact he lived in Wales and had his business there. He maintained that there was among English schooling and that the island of providing to go to England anyway, but there. My mother was determined to carry out the 4 wishes of her dead husband. Me and Mama with teddy bear. To accomplish this, she would have to move her house to Wales to England, but she wasn't ready for that. She must stay here in Wales for while longer where she knew people who could help her advice her, especially her husband's great friend, partner, Odysseus. But even if he wasn't living well quite yet, it was essential to move to a smaller, manageable house. She had enough children to look after without having to bother about a farm as well. So her fifth child, another daughter, was born. She sold her she sold the she uh, sold the vegetables for whole and they called lodge. It was nothing more than a president's circular villa. It was landed 3 years later when I was 6 years old. I went to my first school. He at 6. Only few before that I went for a whole elementary house, but I cannot even remember what my classroom looks like. Nor can I picture the faces of Mrs. Coffey or Mrs. Fletcher, although I am sure they were sweet and smiling. I do have blood memory of staying in the stairs and trying over again to tie shoelaces, but that became me and distance for school itself. On the other side, I can remember very clearly journeys I made to and from school were so tremendously exciting. When excitement is so commonly done, boy, and it sticks in mind. Images of the road to school every day with childhood sister reading on words. No grown up children, the two of us used to race each other, but then when the children were getting tricycling and whooping their way to school in center of highway. So much for memories of kindergarten 62 years ago. It's not much, but it's all there is left. Good. This is the most 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 nice book.